MSR group, they had your name on a list just like every other resident of St. Joe, so that's why they called you. Some people say that because they don't want to be contacted again, which is fine. You really probably won't be for anything like this. But if you do want to be contacted, because some people like doing this, you can always reach back out to Julie and say, can you put me on a kind of preferred list? You may want to decide till we're done to decide if you want to do another one, but I think we'll have fun. A couple of ground rules, which I don't think I really need to go through with you guys too much, is just everyone here looks real nice, but if someone's talking, just make sure that you're not talking, even if it's just to the person next to you, because we are recording this, and it's very difficult to understand what one person's saying when more than one people are talking. It's impossible. And again, this is recorded because I'll take a few notes, but if we get a really good quote or something like that, we want to capture that. But your name is not connected to the quote or what you say, so you can really say that without fear of reprisal or someone else seeing that and saying, I know them. So feel free, feel comfortable in sharing what you want. We'll have certain times where we shout out quick answers, and then other times where you'll be able to tell a little bit more of an in-depth answer. Try to avoid like the 5-minute story or something that's long, only because we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance. If you say something and we want more information, I will definitely do my best to say more about that or come back to you or something like that, so everyone feels like they've had a chance to speak their piece, if you will. There'll be a break. As I said, I'm Ryan. This is Ryan, who's with me, joining as a colleague, and I think that's about it. Anybody have other questions? Anything else about the process? And of course, this is a conversation, so if something pops up to you, just stop me or stop whoever, and we'll answer your question. Okay. So, the first thing I want to do, I know everyone's kind of talked and we've filled out the sheet, but let's go around the room, and I want you to tell me your name, a little bit about you, and then tell me your favorite automobile brand. Since we're going to talk about automobiles, what's your favorite brand? Could be what you're driving right now, maybe it's not, but just tell me your favorite. I'll start with you.
Okay, I'm Barbara Wilkerson. I'm retired.
Okay.
And have been for more than 10 years.
All right. You're well into retirement.
Right. In Toyota.
Toyota, okay, great. All right.
And I'm Connie Gibson, and I'm not retired. I work full-time in Kansas City.
Okay.
And I can't say I've done a lot of comparison, but I drive a Toyota and I like it.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm Judy Klein. I'm a retired psych nurse. And favorite, I don't really have a favorite.
What do you drive right now?
A Kia.
A Kia, okay. The favorite is question mark. That's okay. You don't have to have a favorite either.
I don't.
Okay.
It's more the sales.
Sure. Hey, that's another thing we're going to talk
You
about.
know.
We're going to spend some time talking about that too. So.
I'm retired. I had to retire. I'm retired. I like Chevy and Toyota and Dodges.
What do you drive right now?
Chevy.
Chevy?
I have a Chevy truck and a Chevy car. I do like the Toyota.
Okay.
It's a little too expensive at the time.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Go ahead.
I'm Barb Quick, and I teach at Central High School. I teach physics and chemistry there, and I'm grandma. And I would never touch a Ford to
Okay. So that's your brand that you don't like. What about that you do?
Toyota or Honda. Yeah.
Toyota or Honda? Ooh, a lot of foreign. Okay. I know your name, but tell everybody in case they don't know.
I'm Wayne Guernsey. I'm semi-retired. I retired from the Guard medically on that. I've been doing the dish network installs on the side for retail.
Oh, okay.
And I'm driving a Dodge Dakota right now, but most of the Dodge line I like.
Dodge, you like Dodge, okay. Okay, great. All right, so we got a little bit of a mix. A lot of leans towards Toyota, so that's interesting. We'll kind of examine that a little bit further. So let me ask you this in general, and you can kind of tell this from your own personal opinion to your opinion in St. Joe, but when we talk about the automobile industry, which is what we'll really focus on, what's kind of the first thing that comes to mind? I say automobile industry, you say, anybody can shout this out too.
Unions.
Unions, okay, think about unions.
They're all, they're actually all high price.
High prices, you mentioned that before we even started. High priced product.
They are, especially if you're on fixed income,
Sure.
you know, so you gotta be careful what you.
Income stays the same, but the prices go up, that's a problem. Judy, you had a thought?
High pressured sales.
High pressured sales.
They irritate me, I'll walk out fast.
Okay, okay.
The ones that follow you around.
They're in your back
Call
pocket.
you 15 times at home, and you say, I hate that car. You know.
What else? Anything else about the auto industry? It's changed in recent years. Anybody's minds go there?
I think it's kind of a mess right now, but I'm a science teacher, so I don't feel like we're moving forward fast enough with alternative energy resources.
Sure, sure.
I feel like that it's really just been a very slow process for the United States, because if you've ever traveled overseas, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why we're dragging our feet so much, because I know we have the technology here.
Sure.
It's
sure.
just not being
Taking
implemented,
it
and I
there,
think
we-
it all has to do with petroleum products,
Yeah.
and it's a mess.
Yeah. And that's
Sorry,
interesting because we keep
that's
finding
really
more
general.
oil. We keep finding more oil. So will the urgency to switch?
Well, I mean, you have to look at global warming and all that stuff too.
Absolutely.
Sorry to go there, but I mean,
No,
it
it's-
is an issue.
Yeah.
But it's just a mess right now.
Yeah.
But petroleum products are in everything, it's not just automobiles.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. You bet. A lot of manufactured goods. Okay, so a little bit about the auto industry now. We talked about automobile brands and what we have. So let me ask you this, because we shout out Toyota or I never buy a Ford, those sort of things. How important is the automobile brand when you buy a car? Because some people say, I was really looking for a car that had good gas mileage or something like that, and then I kind of found the maker model after that. And some people say, I love Chevys, I'm going to drive Chevy. So how important is that automobile brand, the emblem on the car?
Well, it's iconic.
Sure.
Yes, you
So is
should.
it the,
Chevy's iconic, and they're durable and dependable.
so you're pretty brand loyal, right? Because of that iconic feel to the brand.
Not really, no, I just telling you it's iconic, it's an iconic brand.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
You feel that way about other brands too?
Yeah, I like Toyotas, and I like Dodges, but
Sure.
I don't, I can only afford what I can afford.
Right.
I try to buy what's good for my price.
Right, right. You can't necessarily chase a certain brand if that doesn't make sense financially.
I'm not going to.
Right. How about the rest? Is the brand really important? You say, I bought that brand, you're nodding your head. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I like Toyotas just because they're reliable.
Sure.
And, in fact, we own 3 of them right now. Just always had good luck with them.
All you have to do is shut the door. You'll know.
And you mean
Really?
test it out that way, right?
You can tell by the sound of the door
Yeah.
closing whether or not it is quality.
Quality, well made.
Or if it's
Sort of thing.
in,
Hi, are you here for the focus group?
Yes.
All right, my name's Ryan. Yeah, you know what we'll do is we'll have you fill out a sign-up sheet, but we'll do that at the end. Is that cool with you?
Yes.
You said wherever you like. We actually just got started.
I'm sorry about that. My
No problem.
my
Oh, no.
ride had gotten pulled over.
No worries. No worries at all. And I'll continue this thought, and then I'll get you up to speed on what we're doing. But other brands, anybody else? You said you bought Toyotas. Have you bought Toyotas for years and years and years? Okay. Like 20 years, 30 years, 40 years?
I'm trying to think when. Yeah, probably 20.
20 years, yeah. That's a lot of brand loyalty. Wayne, what
See,
do you
I've
think?
gone
Are you
with
brand
different,
loyal?
I've gone, no, not really, I've gone with different brands. I mean, I've driven, Fiats, Datsuns.
Sure.
Of course, Dodge, I had a Ford, and like you were saying about technology side for it on it, I had a 90s Ford Aspire that's got 40 miles to the gallon. Now they're just finally bringing the rest of the vehicles to do the same thing for mileage.
Right.
Well, they've already had the technology back then, but they don't. But I'm usually one that fit for a little more research to see what kind of vehicle I think would fit what I need to do for the driving.
Sure. We're going to talk about research too. That's interesting. Okay, now that you're at the table, you want to just say your name, and then the other thing is, what is your favorite automobile brand? We're going to be talking about automobiles, so just your favorite brand, whether it's the car you drive
My
or
name's
not.
Elizabeth, and right now I'm driving the Ford Taurus because that's what was available.
Okay.
But I honestly prefer Dodge.
Okay. Dodge. Wayne is a Dodge lover too. We have Dodge, Toyota, Chevy, not Ford.
Sorry. That's overrebuilt Dodge.
That was Barb's. And right now we're just talking about what's important in terms of the brand. So, any other comments on that? Well, let me ask you this, because you guys are kind of representative of St. Joe. Is this a town that's really brand loyal? You hear a lot of people that say we're a Ford family or Chevy family, or when you're talking to friends and family, do they say, I've bought lots of different cars and the brand's not as important? Just in general, how do you feel?
It's not low to anything.
No.
I mean, it's just individual taste, more or less.
Okay.
What works out for you and works out for what you're doing. Yeah. It has nothing to do with that.
And sometimes, you know, when you go ahead, because I had Ford Aerostar, and you know, the size was wonderful for a good-sized family, etc., and vacationing. And then when I have an empty nest, I don't need that big vehicle that takes that much more gas. And
Right.
so I'd always heard that Toyotas were, you know, real reliable, and I had one, and my husband convinced me after I had 160,000 miles and hadn't given me a bit of trouble
Wow.
to go ahead and trade. I would still probably have it otherwise.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
I
ain't
stayed
trouble
with the
that
same
long.
thing, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, just serviced, and they were real good about their service. To me, that's important.
Yeah.
That they don't try to get you all the time, you know, but they show you if you're needing something.
If it's a real need.
Yeah.
That creates some loyalty. If you have a car that goes 160,000 miles without problems, probably save
I can add a little to that, and that I was raised in a farm north of here, and so many small towns come to St. Joe.
Sure.
And it's about 40, you know, by Iowa line, Craig, Mound City, that area. And those people up there are very loyal.
Brand loyal.
Yes, they are.
They're coming in for a Ford if they drive Ford, or a Chevy if they drive
Absolutely,
Chevy.
yeah.
Yes.
And I really feel that way more so because I was a farmer. So, you know, and all of my friends were, their dads were farmers. And I would say it's really brand loyal. And I don't know if it's just the St. Joseph as compared to the area towns, but I know the small towns are great.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you think it is that in St. Joe people aren't as brand loyal? Is it just more options or a different lifestyle, or what might that be?
More.
Okay. Sure.
No, there's people here in town that are just loyal to all different types of Ford, Dodge, Chevy. I mean,
Sure.
it's just a variety.
Yeah. They like the brand.
Some of my family are loyal to Ford.
Yeah. When you used to hear that a lot more, we're a Ford family or a Chevy family, but you just don't hear that quite as much. So.
Don't you think a lot of them, the trucks, the people that have trucks are more.
They're
loyal.
Yes,
Versus
exactly.
our
It's
car
all
drivers,
pickups.
we're all fickle.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sure, that makes sense. Now you mentioned the car dealership and getting good service. So, you know, I asked about the brand, you know, the emblem on the car. How important is that? When you were looking for that particular car that you got, let's say last time you bought a car, how important was the dealership? Because you can get Fords in multiple places and Chevys, and not far from Kansas City. How important was that dealership in your buying process?
It was important to me because they had treated me right, and you felt like you already had a relationship, and
Sure.
there was no high pressure or anything like that.
Sure.
And actually, my husband did the groundwork. I think we had it figured out before, because I wasn't really looking for a new car. But I was the one who was driving it, put a lot of miles on it, you know, in a relatively short time. So.
And you'd already been treated well, so that was
Right.
a reason to stay. Now, if they didn't have that exact car that you wanted, what would you have done? Would you have tried to buy a different vehicle, or would your husband have wanted to buy a different vehicle to stay with that dealership, or would you have said, thanks, but we're going to go where the car is?
I test drove something that was a even better car mileage, the
Okay.
Prius. And it didn't ride as well.
Okay.
And then besides having to relearn, there's so many things that are different with that.
Sure.
That at that point, I just decided to stick with what I knew.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And they had that available. You said dealership was important.
It's important, but I should also add that I don't buy here in St. Joe.
Where do you buy?
Fort Scott, Kansas.
Really? Why Fort Scott?
We have, it's a family friend.
Oh, okay, sure.
The dealer's dad was with my dad in World War II, you know, so we've known him for a long time. And if he doesn't have the car I want, he gets it.
Yeah.
So I still buy it from him, but it may come from somewhere else.
He might get it from another dealer that he's not
Right.
even affiliated with. Okay.
That's what I found too, is that the dealership that I go through on that if they don't happen to have the vehicle I'm looking for, normally with the internet side for it on it, they can find it and get it delivered.
Sure.
If you're not in a
Dealer
hurry,
trade.
you get whatever
If you want it today, if you want it today, no, it's not gonna work.
Right.
If you're okay to be patient enough for a week or two on that, yeah, it's great.
So
So
no-
normally they can do prep work on it anyway.
So knowing that, do you try to stay brand loyal, knowing they can pull from other places, or in terms of the dealership brand, or do you say I kind of go wherever?
I've been, like her, I've been kind of loyal to one dealership on that because they were family friends. I happen to know, like, grew up with the guy's son that's one of the main owners for I don't know if we mentioned car dealerships.
Yeah,
or not.
we can. We can mention
Car,
that.
Car City out there. For
Car
it.
City? Okay.
And that's usually what I go to because, like I said, if it's something I want, they can usually find it for me.
Okay, sure, sure. How about down here? Anything about the dealer being important, or do you just kind of say I'll go where the car is? Does that
No,
factor in at all?
I talk to dealers and stuff when I go looking for a vehicle when I have the time and money for it.
Right, right.
No, I go into the
Yeah.
a long time ago, my dad was a good car dealer with me, he was still alive.
Oh, he had his own dealership.
No, he never owned it.
Oh, okay, okay.
We just made cars and we sold them on the side.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You used to see a lot more of
You
that now. It's a
gotta
big
dig
business.
around with them and get a better price out of them.
Yeah.
And if they don't wanna work with you, you just walk out the door.
Go to
I
another
don't play
one.
games with nobody.
I'm kind of with him. I was gonna say that, and today with the, prices of everything going up, I couldn't think of the word, but the economy just inflation. You don't wanna be paying, almost $500 for a vehicle, and then you have to be covered, but sometimes, you don't have, my house payment's this much,
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
if you can get something at a reasonable price, and I don't know about you guys, but I have a child, and may have another one soon, but, I want something that rides smooth, not something that you're gonna be hearing every 10 minutes, and you're gonna go
Feeling
back to
every
the
bump.
dealership and say, you said this was covered, and you're not fixing it, what's the deal, that's extra out of pocket for me.
Right.
So contracting is really a good one, and price was.
Yeah. Barb, what do you think about dealer? Are you loyal to a dealer?
No,
or-
absolutely not.
Okay.
I will go with the one that's giving me the best deal.
Sure. Okay.
But I don't have any family ties. So.
Yeah. Right.
And I that's up front.
Yeah.
I'm walking out the door. I don't mess around. I mean, I'm serious. It doesn't matter. I'll go to Kansas City. I'll go anywhere.
Well, and with that, I actually did the same thing. I went to, as far as Kansas City, and it was like, they weren't gonna work with me. It was like, okay.
Well, how weren't they gonna? They weren't gonna work with you on price or something else?
Yeah, it was like, this is just it, and it was like they just really didn't wanna work with me.
Huh.
You were wrong.
And
Because
so-
you'd think they might want to in Kansas City, thinking maybe you won't make the trip again to come back.
Well, the thing of it is, I went close to where I worked.
Yeah.
And I told them I work nearby, but I live in St. Joe. And, you do a little comparison,
Right.
And
Then-
if they didn't, I was much better off here.
They might have thought because you worked there that if they could play hardball, you might have come back, but you obviously didn't. How many people have gone, not to buy a car necessarily, but have at least gone to Kansas City to look for a car? You probably haven't because you're going to Fort Scott. Anybody else? Just a couple, which ones? Okay. Would you ever consider doing it in the future? Let's think ahead. Everybody. You would consider it, Wayne, you would. I'm going to exclude you, Fort Scott. How about down here? Would you
I would.
consider?
I would if I got a better deal.
Yeah. Jimmy?
If I got a better deal, I would.
You would. You would go.
Until then, no.
Do you guys hear of a lot of people in St. Joe, again, kind of representing the city, that do go to Kansas City? Do you hear that a lot, or is it?
A lot.
Yes.
Because you also get a lot of people that say, I want to keep my dollars here. Is there a lot of that, or is there a little less? Okay.
All you have to do is look at the license plates or the little emblem on the car. A lot of them are from Kansas City.
Right, right. Yeah, that's your proof right there. Little mini billboards go around.
Well, the reason why I think we have probably as many dealerships as we do in St. Joe is like what she said, because of the surrounding area for it. Usually the smaller communities on that, they're more or less afraid of the bigger cities, so they really don't want to have to deal with Kansas City with the traffic on it. So they come to St. Joe because they
That's
shop
so
here
true.
anyway.
My
for it
dad
on
did
it.
not go to Kansas City, but he comes
Come to St. Joe.
That's the reason why we have so many dealerships is basically because the surrounding area that all comes to here, so they don't have to visit Kansas City.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to get in a wreck, driving your brand new car or whatever out, just out of the lot. So the other thing is new cars. So you're right. A couple of you had said, we had answered some questions about cars. So everyone here had indicated that you were in the market at some point if you ever buy a car again for a new car versus a used car. Now, I also do these groups with used car individuals, so I want to know the difference. So as you're thinking about you are a new car buyer, why do you prefer new car? Just for
Warranty, I think because of the warranty situation.
the warranty. Okay, you're saying I buy new because I want that warranty.
I want to know how it's been treated.
How it's been treated. So if it hasn't been treated by anyone, then it hasn't been treated bad. Okay. New car feel. What else? Anyone second that? The warranty?
Yes, for sure. And I don't want to take on somebody else's problems.
Right.
Why
But I
would get rid of
agree
it?
with Barb also. You know how it's been treated.
Like I said, if you get a used car, who's to say it wasn't a car that was out at Enterprise rental on that stuff for it? 'Cause
Or in the
I mean,
river or
we
something.
we had people at the guard base all the time on that, so the only difference between a four-wheel drive and rail cars or someplace you will take a four-wheel drive.
Sure, that makes sense. That makes sense. Connie, how about you? You were kind of sitting there thinking, is there anything else besides warranty, or
Well,
no one else has treated it bad?
I would consider a fairly new used car because it loses so much of its value as soon as you drive it off the lot.
Sure. So
And
what's
they-
fairly new used to you?
Years old.
A couple years old? Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that, they're made so much better. You don't have near the trouble, and they last longer than what they used to. And so I think for my money, I would probably be better off. But I would have to say my husband's not comfortable with that, so I've always got him.
Okay.
I mean, it comes down to that. I mean, hey, if he's not happy, nobody's happy.
Right, right. You don't want to go back home with someone who's not happy, even if you got a great car, right?
So I don't even bring it up.
What about you, Jimmy? Any other reason besides what's listed in terms of why you buy new?
No, if I'm gonna buy a new vehicle, I want to make sure it'll last me a long time. I'm gonna keep it.
Sure, sure.
I keep it for a long time. I do a lot of driving every once in a while. I need one that I can
Right,
And
right.
if I want to buy the extra extended warranty after the original one,
Just go ahead and extend it, sure. Yeah, they have good options for that. Okay, so let's think about the buying process, and for this one we can go around the table. You can kind of think back in the past how frequent it's been, but you can also just give me a range. How often do you buy a vehicle? So for you, for example, how often are you going down to Fort Scott and buying a new vehicle?
Oh, probably 5 or 6 years.
Every 5 or 6 years? Okay. Okay. What do you think? How often?
I've had used, honestly, because of my situation, I was a student and everything. It was the last time I went and actually looked, it was in Kansas City. That was about 6 years ago, but I would go every 5 or 6 years.
Okay. I should ask this too. I should go back and restart. Every 5 or 6 years, but also what's the reason why? Is there either number of miles, or you just, by that point, the style's outdated? Is there a particular trigger for why you decide it's time to go back?
Mileage is part of it,
Okay. Okay.
and lifestyles change.
Sure. Yeah, we heard a little bit about that.
Needs change for what you're being.
You ready for a Lamborghini now? I think you should get. I think
That's
you
your
should get
retirement
that.
car. Okay, go ahead.
I'm
That'd be kinda hard to get out of.
47 years old and I'm wanting to start my family. I only have one.
Sure.
I'm newly engaged. So a bigger vehicle is always number one option. And just, I mainly look at the mileage and upkeep, warranty. I'd still want to go back there every 5 years, probably.
Yeah, even with a warranty. Sure.
Well, I'm always past warranty because I drive about 100 miles every day.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say, how long do you
so-
go, how long do you usually go between those purchases?
About 5 years.
About 5
I mean,
years?
it was this last time, I think about 5.
Yeah,
And it was 160.
that's a lot of miles, even in 5 years.
Yeah, it's mainly because of miles and, you know, you're driving by yourself and you're on the interstate and safety then, you know, just in case you try not to break down, and I never do that, so.
That's pretty nice. Knock on wood. Judy, go
I
ahead.
try to make it every 5 years,
Every 5 years, that's a common response, yeah.
but sometimes it's a little less. We travel a lot. 7 of us travel together
Okay.
a lot. And we get pretty high mileage on it.
You're putting
And I
on
start-
Connie type miles.
And I start getting nervous.
Sure. So you might not, it might be more the miles is more important
It's
than
more
the
miles,
years.
yeah.
Sure, okay, okay, fair enough. Jimmy?
I'm about every 6 years.
Every 6 years,
I
okay.
try to keep my mileage down on cars.
For resale value.
Yes. Give me a higher sell when I trade it in, you know, my truck is an 84, so I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah. 84, did you buy it new?
No.
Okay. I'd say that'd be almost 30 years.
Yeah, it's still going strong.
Well, it's funny, sometimes when we talk about people that buy new, they're like, yeah, I buy new, but trust me, I drive it into the ground. I drive it to the wheels fall off. So in that way, you try to get your
I got
value.
less than 70,000 miles on 2007.
Yeah. Yeah, you're sitting pretty. Barb, how about you? How long?
We drive into the ground.
Yeah.
My husband's driving a Honda right now that has 360,000 miles.
Wow.
It's running great,
Yeah.
amazing. We just kept it up for timing belts and that kind of thing. But I have an Avalon that I've had for 5 years, and it's got less than 100,000 miles. But I will, and we buy them loaded,
Yeah. Okay.
so
I'll
that
be
we're
honest.
happy, you know, for a long time.
Right.
The only thing I can't keep him from doing is what we trade his pickup every 2 or 3 years. But,
Sure.
you know, that's, it sits on the driver list until we
Okay.
want to go hunting.
Right, okay. So like that Avalon that you've had for 5 years, are you getting the itch on that one, or are you saying, no way, I'm gonna keep driving it until the wheels fall
No,
off?
I'll let him drive it now, and I'll buy it new.
You'll get a
Sports
different
car.
one. Okay, okay.
She's getting the Lamborghini.
That's right.
Yeah.
But no, that's generally, we just rotate.
Yeah.
And it is the miles probably more than anything. If
Sure.
we need vehicles that are less than 100,000 to 120, we feel like to be safe because our children are all over the United States and we travel.
Right, right. Yep. Sure, okay. Last but not least, Wayne?
Well, I usually, back when I had the good paying job and stuff on that, it was probably about every 5 to 6 years.
Every
Now-
5 or 6.
Now that I've been in the retired side on that, but really the income I had before for on it, I basically drive it until it would cost more for the repairs than would be to make payments.
Right, that's
Sure.
what we do.
Sure. Yeah, and that's probably more than 5 or 6 years. That might be 10 years.
I've got a
12 years.
2001 right now, I've got 150,000 miles on it, it's still
Still
running.
driving. Still driving. Okay. Okay, very good.
I'm driving a 99 right now. but
Yeah?
it's-
You know, we've had our teenagers go through our cars too.
Ah,
So that's
so
been
you
really
kept them
important.
in.
That wears my fast.
Yeah, and I had an Intrepid that lasted for 12 years
Wow.
and 2 boys. So that was really big.
Yeah.
But when we finally put it to rest, you know, there was duct tape on the outside, you know, where they had ran into a barbed wire fence and things like that. But we drive them until they are done.
Right, right. Yeah. Till no one would want them. Right. And you still try trading it.
Dealerships, a lot of dealerships will pay you so much for it.
Sure, yeah, they will. Yeah, you see
You
them
can get it
advertise
there.
that. If you can get it there,
You can get it there, yeah, they'll pay you $7,000 for it. That's fine.
they'll give you money and you can
I
drive
got
it.
that $7,000.
So think about the buying process too, because there's a lot of information out there, and I've heard some people already allude to, you know, I did my research, I started looking. So we'll do another another round the table. Think back to the last purchase you made. How long were you sort of researching that vehicle, and what sources did you use? Did you go online? Did you talk to friends? Did you just go to the dealership to check it out? What do you think?
Probably 2 or 3 years, and
2 or
most
3
of it
years.
online.
And most of it online. What do you use, dealership sites, or did you go to like Kelley Blue Book or others?
Everything.
All over? Everything. Okay. Okay. 2 or 3 years and lots of online. How about you?
Honestly, maybe a month.
Maybe a month? Sure. Yeah.
I
That,
mean, I've been a full-time student for a while.
oh yeah.
Now I'm not currently, but you know, I have an almost 4-year-old, and I had to just take what was convenient. But you know, I did search, and I went to a couple of places. So at the time, I did have money, and just thought, you know, I'm almost 30, and with the longest job I had was almost 3 years, so that didn't look so good. And I just figured I'd rather buy something outright.
Right.
Just something paid, and if I wreck, no big deal, as long as I got my insurance, you know.
Might have a deductible, but other than that. So yeah, and that's true. Sometimes if you're in an accident or something like that, I mean, you're looking for a car
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
Did you go online to search before you went to dealerships, or did you go straight to the dealer? Online. Okay. Perfect. All right. Go ahead.
Well, this last time I didn't do a bit of research.
Really?
Because
Okay.
my husband said, you
That's
know, I really
right.
think you ought to get a different car because then you'll be safer on the highway and I'll feel more comfortable with you doing all that driving. And so it was
It's hard to
basically
argue
the
with that.
same car,
Yeah.
you know, just a newer model.
Yeah.
And I've got over 70,000 on my 2010.
Yep.
So, but the first time I went to other dealerships. I did not search so much online, but also talking with family, I knew different ones who had the, you know, Toyota. But I did go to some other dealerships and check things out. And I don't know, that was probably at least a month or 2.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, because we'll talk more about the dealerships and the salesperson. That's what we're going to get to next. But when people sometimes have anxiety about going into the dealership, so did anybody drive by? I'll just pause for a second. Did anybody drive by and look at cars like at night or on the weekend before they went in? Yep, I'm seeing some nods.
That's my husband's favorite.
That's what he likes to do.
Right, vacation.
Will he do that anytime, or does he do that just when he's getting ready to buy a vehicle?
I think he does it a lot.
Maybe more than he tells me.
Oh, absolutely, because I have car salesmen, or pickup salesmen calling me. So,
You know
yes.
he's been out.
Yes, and I do not want to do it unless I'm ready to buy.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd rather shop for a dress.
Yeah. Sure.
Sorry, I know that's shallow and very female, but I'm sorry.
Maybe the truck's his dress.
I'm sure it
He thinks
is.
the same way, I bet, about
Sure it is.
going to the mall.
I don't like it.
Judy, go ahead. How long did you search for and what'd you use?
Well, online, talking to friends. And see, I have to have their car
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've got 4 big grandchildren.
Okay. Yeah.
And 7 of us usually go in my car when we're traveling.
Okay.
So I kind of found a couple cars that I liked on Sundays when the dealerships were
Oh,
closed.
so you did the drive-by.
Yeah, and talking to friends,
Okay.
you know, that had, when I decided on the Kia, I talked to quite a few friends that
Had a Kia, had an
a
experience.
Kia.
Now you said when you decided, does that mean you went online and sort of checked it out first and then
Yes,
talked
and
to
I
friends?
checked on the price and decided what I would pay for it.
Yep.
And I went back into the dealership several times
Right.
because, yeah, that's not a good enough deal,
Right.
you know, and I'd leave.
Right.
And then they'd call, well, you know, no, I'm not gonna tell you what my price is, you give me your lowest.
Right, it's like, you tell me yours.
Because I think the dealership, well, this is more about the salesman.
We can go into that a little bit. It is our next topic, but
I'm not gonna tell them what I'll pay for it.
sure, right.
You know, you
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah. By the way,
And they usually do go down.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk about negotiating too. That's going to be a little bit further, maybe after the break. But the interesting thing about the online piece, you know, before you drove by a dealership or talked to friends, what did we do before there was online resources? Anybody remember what they did before they went online? I mean, did you drive to the dealership? Did you get a Consumer Reports magazine?
Now you just go out to the dealership and talk to them, test drive what vehicle you wanted to
Yeah.
buy, and you just work from there.
You think dealerships like that better?
No, they do not.
Yeah, the online piece has complicated things, but Jimmy, go ahead. How long you search for, and what tools did you use? What research?
Well, I use the dealerships, I went to different ones,
Okay.
and I priced the reasonably between both vehicles over the time five.
Yeah.
And see what the options are, see what I can get for a good deal. And if it didn't work out, I just went to the other.
Right. Just go until you're happy. You got enough options, you can do that for a while, right?
But sometimes it doesn't work out for that one.
Right.
So you just gotta sit back and wait till it's end of the year and they wanna get rid of last year's season before the new one's coming.
Sure. A little clearance going on.
That's when you should go out car shopping anyway, if you wanna buy a new one. Even though it might be a day, next day it'd be an old one, but still new.
Might be the same style as the newest model. So.
And it's got the brand new warranty and everything else on it, so you would not out anything.
Now, Barb, I think I know what you're going to say. Not a long cycle, right? We want to get this over with. But what tools do you use for that?
Okay,
You
this
go
is how
straight to
it's
the-
done in
All
the
right.
Quick household.
Okay.
My husband does all his little going around looking, because I said, I am not going shopping until we're ready to buy. Okay, so I really don't care what I get as long as we have grandchildren. They can get in there and it's big enough, and
Right.
it's a Toyota or a Honda. Okay?
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I won't look at anything else.
Okay.
And he knows it. So that's what he's shopping for. And basically, I know this sounds really bad. And we're educators. We don't make a lot of money, but we save our money for our vehicles. I get to pick out the color.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I get to drive it, I pick out the style, is it loaded, you know, blah, 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 because we keep them forever,
Right.
obviously. So, he does his little shopping, and then when he says, okay, this is what I found, he'll take me around at night after with everybody, because salesmen totally piss me off, okay? So, and he knows that, I don't mess with it. Because I've had some bad experiences, I guess. So, you know, we do that, and then I secretly check on the Blue Book price and call around to other dealers saying, I'm looking for a new vehicle, how much would I have to pay to get into this and this and this. So then we go back and we usually get a couple thousand cut off the top, because
Right. And will you just cite the Kelley Blue Book price when you go in?
absolutely, and you know that, and I can work with a dealer down here because I don't like what they do.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. You know, it's like put a price tag on it and we'll decide if we're going to buy it or not. So he knows that about me, and
Right.
it's not a fun experience.
Right. Now,
And I don't mean to be that way. I just don't like being jerked around,
Right.
and that's kind of how I feel about it.
when you go in no nonsense to Toyota or Honda or wherever, how long does it take for them to sort of play on your field in terms of, okay, you're really only going to pay that price?
I'm really straight with them.
Yeah. So
And
it
my
might not
husband
take
is
long.
too. I think he's warned them. I mean, really.
Before you're
And
coming.
I'm very nice and polite about it, but I'm very assertive, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a school teacher. I've learned to do that. But, you know, we went to Rolling Hills here 5 years ago, and we drove out with 2 vehicles. 2
Sure.
new ones. I mean, we were ready to buy. We had saved our money, and we knew they would last forever, except for the truck thing. But, you know, that, and he told them that.
Right.
but you're gonna have to meet her price.
Or else.
Well, because I walk, because I don't care. I mean, because I shop for sales. I only buy anything that's on sale rack.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
I know it sounds really bad.
No, it doesn't. Wayne, what do you think?
Well, I've done, like, for when I get ready to buy a vehicle, normally I'll check online, I'll check Blue Book price, see what it is on that, if they're listed yet for it for the new vehicle. Sometimes I'm not really getting there right for it. I'll check with some of the other dealers on outside areas on that, usually have them listed for a price.
Okay, but you usually go to like Kelly Blue Book or something like that before you even go to a dealership website. Okay.
And then I'll also check on, well, I've also checked for some of the blog sites that are out there for it, see how reliable and how satisfied people are with it. And I usually find that for me, especially before the internet, if you're someplace out there, a restaurant or out in a parking lot somewhere with a shopping center or something on that, I'm not really afraid that much to walk up to somebody and say, I'm kind of interested in this brand of vehicle. How's it been reliability for you? What do you think of it? Are you satisfied with it? You know, actually get a feel for people who are actually driving that type of vehicle.
Huh,
I have no problem.
It's an interesting way to research. It definitely is.
You
But
find out because they're going to be, most of them will be honest with you, because if
Right.
they catch you fast enough on that, they're not sitting there trying to think, well, you know, I can step this up, make it sound a lot better, because they're not really thinking that.
well, they don't have anything to lose and just telling you the truth. They don't know you.
If you like the dealership, they're going to try to, you know, lay the chocolate flowers on you on that, say how great it is for it. But I don't care to listen to that because I don't need the embellishment. I need to know what it's like. And I find for people that are actually driving it, they're the ones who tell you.
Okay, so let's do this before we take a quick break, since we're really leaning towards that topic anyway. Let's talk about the salesperson, because that's a big part of the process too. And that's the one we've talked about, the brand, and we've talked about the dealership in general, but then we also know there's that person that you deal with that Barb's got some opinions on, I know. So what happens when you go in? Is it a positive experience? Is it a negative experience? You can just shout this out. I think I know the answer, but how do we feel when we go in and start to interact with those people, with salespeople? What happens?
I'd say it's very negative.
It's very negative.
When a woman walks in there.
They feel your vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Yes.
I think
Women
they're
are treated
trying-
different than men.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So how are you treated negatively? So you don't have to necessarily tell a horror story, but just is it a certain thing that they do?
They just
Is it
try to push you.
They act like you don't know anything.
Yeah, they talk
Yeah,
down to
you don't know anything. And usually I'll kind of play along with them for a little while. And then, you know, okay,
Then you drop the hammer.
yeah.
Okay. What happens then when you do that?
A lot of them go bum, 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 bum.
What do you do when you drop the hammer?
Well, I say, I want the bottom line. You know, yes, I like this car, I want it at my price.
You had regular tea here, right?
Oh, well, what is your price, honey? And that usually turns me off. And I'll say, no, you tell me yours, and then I'll tell you how much. I bought a Ford Taurus, this was years ago, and it was in, I think down there. Yeah.
Who was
And
it?
huh?
It's okay to talk about the dealer, because I'm going to ask you about dealers too.
You mean Casey Myers Ford?
Yeah.
Across the street.
Yeah.
Casey
absolutely.
Myers? Okay.
And they had this Taurus that I wanted inside the building. And I went in there, I don't know how many times, and I got the price, and it kept going down, down, down. Said, you haven't hit it yet. I'd walk out.
Yeah.
And I finally got it. I'm sorry I got it. Because they had a recall on it.
Oh no.
It's
oh,
a
no.
Ford. What do you
Yeah.
say?
No,
Well,
that's
they
what
had a
I'm driving
recall
now.
on it. I took it
Not
in,
good.
they fixed the recall, and they said they fixed the recall thing. Yeah.
It wasn't fixed?
No, it wasn't fixed.
Okay.
And I went back in there, And the same thing was wrong, and they said, oh, well, Ford is gonna be
Either way, it
so
doesn't
nice
usually
to
pay upfront, but if
you.
you want me to take it
You only have to pay, it was like a $2,000 fix.
That you had to pay the 2,000 or something
No,
less?
Ford was gonna be very nice to me, and I'd only have to pay $1,000.
Split it with me.
I only had to pay half. I said, no, I brought it in. You know,
Yeah,
to
right.
get it fixed, there was a recall, you know, that was it. And, well, they said, well, you can't drive it like this. I said, you fix it. Chewing gum, I don't care what you use to fix that.
Baling wire. duct
All
tape.
I need to do is get down to trade it in.
Right, right, sure.
And
at
I
that
traded
point.
it in that day.
So you get jerked around. What
Oh,
else does
yeah.
what else does a salesperson do? Anything else that's good or bad? Barb, I bet you've got something. What annoys you about the salesperson?
Oh, usually they're tie. No. What I'm finding now, what we're running into is our students are car salesmen.
Oh, okay. You got a unique situation.
But that is our benefit because they know.
Sure.
And you know, so that helps. But probably just, I mean, I know they're trying to earn a living. I know that, but it's just the fact that they're not straight with you, and I don't deal with any of that pre-stuff, you know. I don't do that. I will not do that. And when my husband dies, my son's gonna have to do it because I refuse to do it.
Right.
Nobody would ever want to sell me a car. So, just the front. I mean, it's their business, it's their job. I understand that. But so it's really been beneficial for me in that my students
Sure.
are now selling cars, and so we
Yeah, you got a
look
personal
those up.
relationship
That's
there.
right. So it's the relationship, exactly. That would be
Okay.
nice to help.
So I heard, they're not straight with you. Is there anything else that they do?
Well, the phone calls. I mean, if you
Phone
go in and
calls.
look once, they just hound you.
They hound you. Okay. Anybody refuse to give your phone number just so they can't?
I'd rather deal with the car dealership that has straight salary employees.
Mm-hmm.
Not commission, because if they're on commission, they're gonna break their necks and try to get you,
What do you think about that, Jimmy, or anybody else? What do you think about someone who's on straight salary?
There's no sweat off them if I don't buy or not. They're
Yeah.
still gonna get a paycheck.
Right.
But
So maybe that's less
they're gonna
pressure?
be more straightforward with you as to what
I
the
ask
car
them,
is.
are you salary or commission? I want to know.
They usually probably say commission, right? I mean, that's the popular model. The one you're talking about is far less.
Well, we have some here that's on straight salary.
Where's
You-
that at? Do you know?
Right there.
What about Rolling Hills?
Rolling Hills? No, they're not. They're on commission. There's a few dealerships here in town. I don't know if Kia or them straight salary. I think they're connected with the Ford, so they would have to be on straight salary too.
Is there just one Ford dealership or is there two? You talked about a Ford dealership.
Well, there's
Anderson Ford,
Anderson
but
Ford.
Kia is
part of
down.
them.
He is part of Anderson. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of it.
Okay. Very good. Very
I know there's
good.
a lot of the sales personnel on that. It's almost like, I'd say they're like carnies, because they go from dealership to dealership.
Yeah.
That, so you might
That's
meet
true.
you might meet one here at Randy Reed's, and then
Yeah.
next time
They're
you
like
see them at
carnies.
Casey Myers.
That's good, Wayne. I like that. That's actually a really good analogy. So that doesn't help trustworthiness if you see the same guy at a different one and they're not. Anything else? Anybody had a situation where you've been approached by multiple salespeople? Like a team effort, or is it usually you're just working with one?
No, I like to wrestle with them.
Okay. They stay away.
I would love to wrestle one of them
Well, I don't know who they're going to want to deal with least, Barb or Jimmy.
I don't get too visible.
They might be a toss-up. Anything else you want to say about the sales process? Because after the break, we're going to get into specific dealerships in this market, and then we're going to talk about some concepts for maybe changing the car buying experience for the better, because I'm hearing a lot of negative. But anything else about the...
It really
Go
is
ahead.
annoying when they keep lowering the price. Why don't you just say this is what it costs?
Yeah.
You
See,
know?
I don't deal with that because, like, for me, when I get ready to go out to it, it depends on what dealership I'm going to go to, I usually, since I belong to a credit union, I go in, I'll get pre-approved, because I won't go through the finance system on that. And I'll go to the dealership, and when one comes up there for it, I'll look at the vehicle, and one comes up there, I said, I'm looking at the vehicle. I'm not going through your financing system on that stuff for it. It's a cash deal. What's your best price? If I don't like it, don't bother me, because I'm walking out, because I can go somewhere else.
What do they do when you, because that's pretty direct, what do they do when you say that?
They usually will come up and tell you that, because they bother me again. I've had one try that one time for it, and he found out it was not a fun time.
Yeah.
Why do they put these stickers on the window that are
Well, it's like it says, it's suggested retail price,
Right.
and that's all it is.
Now, some people actually do, because I've done a few of these, some people actually like to negotiate. Anybody
My
here?
husband loves it.
Your husband
That's
does.
my husband too, and so
Okay.
I let him do that, and he always says, you never, right off the bat, and then you go back, and then he goes back. So I let him do that.
Because there's dealerships that try to do one price. You know, we won't dicker back and forth. This is the price that you pay, that I'd pay, that Wayne would pay. But then some people say, I want to negotiate, or that's not really your price. You know, you get people that like the current
It's the
system.
They don't
hunt.
believe it.
The
No,
hunt,
we
sure.
like to get the hunt. Yeah.
Sure. Sure, but maybe women would say, just give me one price and I'd pay it.
I thought it would be paid because I think generally that's not really the price.
That's the other problem.
And so
You don't
if
trust
were
it.
Still don't believe
negotiating,
them.
I would go and I would end up doing more, but yeah.
Well, we have a concept that's similar to that a dealership here in town is doing that we will test. But if that's the last thought, and of course if you think of something else, go ahead.
I have
Go ahead.
one question for it, since all of you have gone to different dealerships
Yeah.
and other areas on that. I'm really curious, have you ever dealt with a female salesperson?
No.
That's a good question. They exist.
I know there's some places that have them. I mean, I've never seen any out there. It's like
Yeah, I noticed
unicorns.
that
You
too.
hear that, you don't really think they exist. But
You know, I feel bad for these people in a sense because they have a very short time to develop a relationship with the customer. And that's what it's going to take for a lot of people.
Yeah, relationship.
And it's the same way in education, you have to develop a relationship with the kids to get them to
You
do
only have them
work for you.
right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. So so when they're calling, I mean, they're trying to make the sale, but
Yeah.
some of the messages they leave are, hey, they're trying to develop
best
a
buds.
relationship, and they have a really short time to do that, so it's tough.
Right. Do you guys like the idea of a female salesperson? If you had a female salesperson,
I would
It wouldn't bother me.
wouldn't bother you?
Yeah, I still ring her neck.
Is age important? So in other words, someone that's more your age, or doesn't matter either?
No.
Okay.
I've never really seen older dealers. No,
Yeah.
I'm
Usually the salesperson's
it's
younger,
Like,
you're
what
saying.
is like that? Just
They get
because of
promoted.
appearance, or
They might get promoted, yeah. They might be the last guy you talk to, or the guy that you talk to about financing versus the first guy.
Or they figure you're not going to trust them that's dealt with so many customers that ripped all their hair out.
They got the war stories. Okay, well, let's take a short break, a couple of minutes at least. Anybody need to use the restroom or want to run and do something?
Step outside.
Absolutely. Go out and stretch your legs.
there they go.